Okay, I hope everything's working. The sound doesn't seem to be loud enough, but it's okay. So for the general social survey extra point assignment, okay. Um, First, my apology. I think I forgot to put in the exact variable name, which are these ones. Without that, you'll be difficult. You'll have difficulty accessing it. Okay. And to look for these variable names, you can always right click here, open it, the new tab, and you'll see it. Okay. But I've already given to you here, so you don't have to open this. Okay. Now, what you do is you open this, right click, um, open link in new tab. Okay. Now, you choose whichever variable that I listed there. And let's say I'm just going to choose manners, which is more troublesome. Okay. But I'm going to choose manners. Okay. Remember, the purpose of this is to look at whether respondents have with different educational levels will choose different kind of desirable qualities for children, right? That's our purpose. Okay. And this is large data. So we go to the general social survey, and the row is for the dependent variable. So if I want to see manner, it's manners. Okay, so I copy manners, I put it here, manners. Okay, for the column, um, the education is supposed to be EDUC, right? That's the variable name. You have to use this. You cannot just type in EDUC. That's years of education the respondents have had. Okay, so I'll copy and paste this. I want to limit the database to a certain age of respondents. So I put in age. Notice there's no space. Okay, I think I put in age 30 to 50. That's my guess. Let me take a look. Yeah, age 30 to 50. Okay, now for this simple exercise, I didn't ask you for control. If you want to do it, fine. You can enter, for example, you can enter sex, which means you separate, you look at the relationship between people's educational level and their choice of good manners as desirable for children by sex. In other words, male response, female response will separate. But for our purpose, just delete it, make things simple. Okay. And for output, all I want to do is for you, for your thing, I want the question text so I can remember, I can remind myself what's the question, right? And for chat options, I want to see percentage. It's easier to see, okay? And then for decimal, I would just, yeah, don't do anything about this, okay? Don't do anything about this. Just directly click on run table. Yep, that's the table I will see. Now, many students will take a look at this, try to make sense of this. It's kind of difficult to make sense because too many numbers, okay? You don't screenshot this one. Scroll down, okay? This is the one you want, okay? So I'm going to make it bigger so you can see clearly, okay? So the more difficult question is how do we interpret it? Okay. Now, on this side, you can see it's the respondents' years of education from no formal schooling to up to like your age group, 12 years of education. So, and respondents up to 8 more years of college. So you get PhDs almost, right? So up to here are respondents who have high school degree and 4-year degree. So that's respondents' educational level. Here is the percent, how many people, let's say, for people with no schooling, how many people um, chose good manners as a desirable quality for children, right? And based on this, you can see, for example, a 30%, 20% of the respondents who have no formal schooling chose desirable good manner as desirable for children as the third desirable variable. Okay. Now, do not look at just each one. That will take too much time and it's not useful. What I want you to see is the larger pattern. Okay. You will see a lot of blue for many, which means no mentioned. Don't worry about it because the respondents of the survey have so many qualities to choose from. It's natural for people just choose not, just do not choose this one, but choose others. I would pay attention to the green, purple, which means they chose the most desirable and the second most, the third most desirable, right? So first most desirable and the third most desirable. I would pay attention to this. And I would also pay attention to least desirable and one least desirable. So in other words, these are the purple and green. You can see, generally speaking, going this way, right? In other words, now in real data, it's never clean, okay? But you can see the larger trend, which is the more the respondents of higher education, the less likely they will choose good manner as desirable quality for children, right? And if you look at people who intentionally actually write in, I don't want that, I don't care about it, intentionally actually choose as the least, third least and least desirable quality, you can see here roughly a same trend. It's not as clear, but you can still see the same trend. So for for respondents who have higher, the more education they have, the less likely they choose, the more likely they choose desirable quality, good manners as desirable for children. Actually, the more education they have, the more they find it undesirable. You follow me here? Okay, least desirable. Okay. Now, I know for many people this is surprising. Okay, most others results you will get are more intuitive. You know, for example, think for yourself. You will immediately see very clearly that the more education people have, the more they think they prefer children who can think of for themselves. You will see the pattern much more clearly. In this one, it's weird, right? It's the more education they have, they seem less like to choose good manners. What I want you to do is first, I use snipping tool a lot. Okay, I would just you know snip this with a screenshot, copy, and paste it into a Word document. Okay, or just directly put in the text box that I provided for you. And then, you get this. Okay, that's the first thing. Second, so what I want you to do on the page is a screenshot of this table, not the one before, because, it's not as useful. Some students provide both. That's fine with me, but I think this one is much better. Okay, it's easier to see. And then I want you to write a short paragraph to describe, to interpret what you see here. Okay, what I want you to see, to be able to write, is a simple sentence. From what I see here, as respondents' educational level increases, the less likely they choose good manner as desirable quality for children. Now, and give this as example already, so I hope most of you don't use this, but you use this, accept it, okay? Anyway, but it's going down this way, right? Now, why is this the case? I think it's interesting to speculate. Nobody know for sure, okay? That's the good thing about survey is that they tell you this right away and it's generalizable, right? The bad thing about survey is you don't know the context of why people choose this way. They don't tell you directly. Okay. You can only speculate. And I honestly speculate that it doesn't mean that people with higher education do not really care about good manners. There are two things I think. Maybe people with good education see a lot of them just say no mention. In other words, many of them just assume it already, don't even feel it's necessary to check that box for good manners in the survey. The second thing is actually more of them choose it as least desirable quality. My guess is for middle class and upper middle class parents, when they see wanting children to have good manners, they may interpret it differently than working class parents. Working class parents may interpret good manners as my child is good for the teachers, right? But middle class parents may see having good manners as interpreted as the child not assertive enough, not having confidence, not being able to see teacher as a resource to serve me, right? So if you think along with Annette Laurel and Kuhn's argument, is middle class parents tend to instill the value of self-confidence and assertiveness and self-control as the values. Working class parents tend to have the tendency to like their children to be more obedient, listen what I say, that kind of attitude. Now, I want to warn you, this is not always the case, of course, right? But we're in surveys, in statistics, we want to find a general pattern. There are always exceptions, okay? But I think the general pattern is this way. So I would say screenshot this and write down your interpretation, at least, okay, as the educational level of the respondents increase, okay? The likelihood that they choose good manners as desirable quality decreases, right? That's what I want to see. And then you can write in some speculation why I see this, okay? There's no right and wrong answer. Just write it. I want you to think about it. That's the point, okay? And the point of the exercise is I want you to have access to a real data. This is real data, so general social survey, okay? And it will be even better if you can use this to reflect on Kuhn and Laurel's argument in terms of how middle class and working class parents instill different values and habits into children. Okay, I think I've covered everything in here. You can try others. Some of them as clear, some of them not as clear. And some of the variables you chose could you might see just not a strong relationship at all. Just be honest. Okay, you can write, okay, based on a pattern, I do not as the respondents' educational level increase, I do not see a strong correlation with the percentage of people who choose good manners. If that's the case, you can say, well, I do not see a strong correlation between them. Okay, that's fine. Okay, as long as you tried it. Okay. The other thing, a lot of times students make a mistake on, okay, is they thought this is referring to the respondent's age. Remember, in our instruction here, I intentionally put age 30 to 50. In other words, all these respondents are old enough, pretty much after college or after high school at least. So these results are not the age of the respondents, right? They're just educational level. I also just be careful when you write the interpretation. We don't know if these respondents are married or not, or have children or not. So I would say when you interpret it, do not say, okay, parents with this educational level prefer this, parents with this educational level prefer this. We don't know if they're parents or not. Okay, basically, all we know are respondents who answer the questionnaire with different level of education. Okay, that's all we know. Okay, so write it more precisely. That's the purpose to teach learning social science is think clearly and write, precisely, okay, rigorously. Don't go above the interpretation. And there's always, things just random. Like, I think in the US, very, very few people just have no education, only first degree education. Okay. That's illiterate. In the US, it's probably illiteracy probably lower than at least 5%, I think. Okay. So don't be distracted by the very low level of education people. They are usually not as reliable, frankly, in terms of answers, because there are so few of them. Okay. I would say from middle school on, you can see the trend over here. Okay. All right. That's it. I hope this explains everything. If not, feel free to drop in my Zoom office hours from 3 to 4 today, or you can, set up a Zoom individually with me, and I've already extended the assignment up to this Sunday night. Okay, so okay, if you have other questions, please feel free to email me. All right, thank you.